How's it going, guys? I hope you've all had an excellent week. Crazy day in the stock market today. The CPI numbers came out this morning for the month of September. I was watching as the news broke, and prior to that, the Dow futures was up 300 points. The inflation numbers came out worse than expected, and just like that, the Dow futures dropped to 300 points. I put my phone away, went about my business, checked the stock market in the afternoon, and there was a record turnaround in the stock market today with the Dow ending up over 800 points. So in today's video, we're looking at September consumer price index numbers. We're looking at why I think the stock market had such a huge turnaround, and then I'll share with you what I'm buying during these turbulent markets. So with that being said, let's go into the Labor of Bureau Statistics website, looking at the latest CPI numbers for September. Inflation is still happening. Costs are still going higher in general. For the month, up 0.4%, a year over year. So from September of last year to September now, inflation is increasing by 8.2%. If we go ahead and look at food, food is continuing to go up, whether you're buying groceries or eating out, continuing to go up. The one thing that saved the CPI data, or one of the things that saved the CPI data for the month of September, was the cost of energy. So gas prices coming down, fuel prices coming down. But if we look at electricity went up 0.4%. So it's still continuing to go up, electricity. If we look at new vehicles, did slightly continue to go up. Used cars and trucks came down. Clothing came down. Medical care came down. Actually, medical commodities came down. Services in general went up. Shelter, so rents are continuing to go up. And then transportation services went up substantially, and medical care services are continuing to go up. So inflation's still going up. One other thing to notice is that workers' wages on average fell by 0.1% for the month and 3% for year over year when adjusted for inflation. So people on average are earning 3% less than they earned last year. And what's important to note, and what I think the big turnaround is, one, these are September numbers. So we've been working with this inflation now for several months, and I believe that the current downturn in the markets is priced into this CPI from September. So when people initially saw those bad numbers come in, the market tanked, and then people started realizing, but wait, we've been dealing with this inflation story for a while now, but it is still going up, but it's not as bad as prior months. So if we go ahead and look at May and June, during the summer, that's when things started really ticking up substantially. And if we look at electricity as well, electricity had a huge drop. It went the whole summer months 1.3, 1.7, 1.6, 1.5, and then dropped down to 0.4. So that also had a huge impact on the overall inflation number. And of course, now as North America is starting to get more into the winter months and not using so much of the aircon, I think that is part of the reason why that number came in. So people looked at this, priced into the current market, and that is why I believe we had that huge turnaround. I'm also keeping an eye on the Bank of England, and just recently the Bank of England had to step in and start buying government bonds, because a lot of these government bonds are owned by pension funds in the UK, and they had a huge sell-off in the market, and they were going to be liquidated if the Central Bank of England did not step in and bail out essentially these government bonds. So that is something that's tracking right now, and that could also have a huge impact moving forward on how the whole Bank of England scenario with their government bonds plays out in the coming weeks. That could definitely affect the markets. But no matter what happens, whether it be war in the east, or if we have high inflation numbers, there are so many good stocks and cryptocurrencies that have taken a huge beating. I was just sitting yesterday, I spent like a good 30 minutes doing research and looking at companies and seeing semiconductors, seeing companies like Disney whose share price at the peak was around $170 a share, is now sitting at $93 a share. So you look at companies like that, semiconductors like Nvidia, these companies that are going to power the future. Nvidia was like a $350+ stock. It's now sitting at $116. So you look at companies like this and you're reminded that when people are crying, this is the time to be buying. As any well-known investor or any smart investor will tell you, you need to think differently during these times and not have fear. Look for opportunities where to buy. Now, one area that I am purchasing in, and I'm starting to get back more and more into the dividend stocks. I do love dividend stocks, and the SPHD, which is one that I'm starting to buy back more into because this offers that monthly dividend income. And I went ahead and I've been adding to SPHD recently. My average cost is $44.50. If I could get this thing at 40, below, pretty much anything below 44.50, I'm going to be looking to buy because it's going to be bringing my average cost down. And right now I have the amount of shares sufficiently to provide myself with $20 of dividend income every month. And the goal with this is to continue buying it and continue adding to this amount so that I could get that income every single month. So I'm going to go ahead and purchase some more SPHD over the next coming months. And I'm looking at other companies. I've got Disney on my radar. I've got Nvidia. I've got Applied Materials. I love the semiconductor companies. Even Apple. Apple has taken a huge beating. It's now in the 130 range, whereas it was up in the 170s. And that in the future is easily a $200 stock. So I'm doing my own research, and I encourage you guys to do your own research as well before you make these investments. This is not my financial advice, but just what I'm doing. So that is my strategy. But that is what I'm doing, and that is my strategy. So guys, I appreciate your time. Keep your head in the game. Keep investing. Ignore the noise. Remember to look after each other, and I'll catch you guys on the next video. Take care. Cheers.